20-meter circle is, and I show her how to go in the corners. I show her where the diagonals to get it in. I'm going to go where do you turn down your center line. So I know these things sound like very, very easy things, but the reality of dressage is all it is a math quiz, and as scary as math is to most of us, it really is about keeping, getting a good number in every box, and the box that doesn't work, let go of, and go on to the next thing. This is what makes it so much more fun than, say, a Western pleasure class where you have an absolutely perfect class, except you miss a leap. And so your wonderful class, which should have won you the whole thing, except for that 30 seconds, didn't work. And so all of a sudden you're out of the game. In dressage, there are, between 20 and 40 boxes, and you can have a problem in one of those boxes or a mistake. Let go of it and go on to your next box. And that's one of the things we talk about in the dressage test. And we'll talk a lot about one of the things I say all the time is keep it in the box. Keep your problems in one box. So if you have a mistake, be done with it. But try to recover by the time you get to your next movement, because each movement is judged from beginning to end, from one place to the next. And that's why you have all of these, letters and all this other stuff, because that gives us the opportunity to say, okay, here's where it starts, here's where it goes, here's where it ends. From that moment on, it's a brand new test to me to start judging against. So each box is separate by itself. It's only when I get to the bottom of what's called the collective mark that I then give you an overall feel for the test. But while I'm judging the test itself, if you can keep your mistake inside of one box, let's say let's talk about an entry. So Karen, I'm using your time a little bit. This is all stuff that you would be using. Let's talk about our entry. We're coming down our center line, we make a good turn, our horse stops beautifully, and all of a sudden somebody on the sidelines drops, big bunch of papers, or jumps sideways. She looks at it, she comes back, she picks it up, you finish your salute, you go on, you trot down the center line. In a pleasure class, we all know you're done. You might as well walk out of the ring and finish. In a dressage test, I write unfortunate moment at X, period. And I might have to give you a 4 or 5 because things really did go to pieces. But I don't care once you turn left or right. After that, it's done. So you may have a 4 here, but you may make that corner beautifully up there, go down the wall, make a circle that's perfect, and have an 8 for your next movement. So it's really, really important to remember in dressage, every movement stays in its own box. And that way we're able to keep things much fairer and give a better overall average of the movements. And that's why we do, that's one of the things people like about dressage. Plus, I hand you back your little test at the end of it, and you look at it and say, oh look, I got an 8 here, an 8 here, well, I got a couple 4s here, and if I can just fix those, I can get my score up to a 60+%. And that's kind of the goal for all dressage tests, is 60% says, you're doing a pretty good job. Could be better, but you're doing a pretty good job. Okay, so we're going to talk about the absolute beginning of the dressage test and how we do this. And as I said, I'm going to walk in front of you because I know this sounds really dumb, but I think if you see the reason for me doing it, we're going to talk about the beginning of the test. The judge is here, and the horse in front of you has finished its test and it's halted and saluted. That is the moment at which, especially if you're an outside dressage run, you are then allowed to go around the outside and start trotting around the outside of the ring and warming up. So at that point, I'm writing down the comments from my last horse. But that's the moment that you have permission to start warming up, is once the horse in front of you halts and salutes. Their test is officially done. I'm doing my secretarial services down here. And so at that point, you then can enter from down there. You start trotting around the outside of the ring, or if it's an indoor, sometimes it's the inside of the ring. You go around your ring a couple of times. At that point, once I'm done writing everything I hand, I'm trying to get this going. Make that mistake. So once we get through that whole part, you would then look up, keep watching me a little bit. At some point, I'm going to ring the bell or blow my whistle, depending on which one I have for that show. You then have 45 seconds to get down to the end of the ring and come in. I can promise you that very few of us really time that 45 seconds. What we're saying to you, though, is, okay, don't make 6 more laps around the ring. From anywhere in the ring that you are, you should be able to come around, either turn around and come back in, or come from the far end. You have plenty of time. Don't panic, because the first thing that people do is go, oh my God, the bell, the whistle, and this beautiful warm-up all of a sudden gets really, really, really tense because they go, oh my God, it's my turn, and I'm really nervous. So instead, tell yourself, I tell all my students, as soon as the bell rings, take it.
Okay, I think it's feedback from the speaker above.
Oh, okay, then I'll move to the side. Sorry. Thank you. I'm not that technical. So as soon as you get your bell or your whistle, you have plenty of time, but I tell everybody in my barn, take one deep breath at that moment. Honest to God, because that will help you settle down when let your horse know this is all going to happen, and it's going to be fine. So you head on down to your entry gate, make your turn down the center line, and you straight for the judge. There are a couple of things you want to think about when you're coming in on your center line. You're going to come in as straight as possible and as quiet, as steady as possible. Your goal isn't to have the hugest, biggest trot coming in. It's to have a controlled trot that has a nice balance, so that you come down and you can halt 4 feet square. You can walk into your halt. So if you come in here and your horse's butt's going a little sideways because he sees the table, you kind of walk a couple steps, get everybody straight, and stop. Let him have a look. Take your reins in one hand. Left or right, doesn't matter. If you're riding 2 hands, obviously. If you're riding 1 hand, you're all right. Drop the hand on your side and just simply nod at me. That's all the salute is. It doesn't have to be a production. It doesn't have to be, trust me, when you see, people don't know what a salute is. And so I know this sounds kind of silly, but nobody's ever taught them. How would you know if you don't do this, right? So you drop your hand aside, just a little nod, look up at me. I will acknowledge it in some way, usually. Either nod my head. Sometimes judges will stand until you make the turn, and then they'll sit down. That's their way of saluting you as coming in. So you come in, you salute. As soon as I acknowledge your salute, pick up your reins, gather yourself for a second, and then start with a couple of walk steps into a trot, and then turn to the left or right, depending upon what test you're doing. Again, remind yourself that you have paid me a lot of money to sit up there and only look at you for the next 6 minutes. That's my job. My job is not to judge you or be harsh to you. My job is to simply look at what you're doing and see how it's going and give you my opinion on what's happening underneath you and my suggestions is how to make it better. So you own me for that 6 minutes. I don't own you. You have the right to go out there and show me the best work you can have. I'm not out there to make your life miserable. I'm not out there to tell you how stupid you are. I'm out there to say, this is what I see. And this is what I would like you to do if you're going to come back to my room later on in the day. So take your time, present the best test you have. Obviously, you're going to have some things that go better than other things. That's just the way it goes. But remember, 99% of the time, and Jim has probably described for 100 judges at this point in his life, the judges want to see the best test that you can have. That's really what they want. They just want to see it work. They don't want to see it be uncomfortable or you be nervous. They'd rather see it all go really well and have it be a fun experience for everybody. So remind yourself that for those minutes, it's you that owns the ring, not me. And you want to give me the best production. And it's not about, oh my gosh, I don't want her to hate me at the end of it. So I know that sounds silly, but a lot of people go in there with the attitude the judges ought to get. And in dressage, I can promise you, I would be thrilled to have 25-70% tests in the same day. It would be just wonderful. So the better you ride, the better you do, and realize that I'm there for you. I'm not there to build my ego up or how smart I can be for sitting at a table. So we're going to do that first entry. So I've given all these little beginning things. So ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, the bell just rang, and now I'm going to come into my ring. I'm going to look at what your test here is, because of course I'm because I'm an old person. You're going to enter a working job. You're going to come on the center line, and you're not going to halt in your basic test. And the reason that we don't have a halt in that first test is because sometimes once we stop our baby horse and they see that table, they don't go forward again. So we're gonna do an entry where we say, okay, here we're gonna get down to that. We're gonna be really brave. We're gonna head down that wall. So I'm gonna make a circle right here and I'm gonna show you how I would enter the ring. So you've been trotting around the inside of the ring, preparing for your entrance. What I do is this: I come in this corner. I'm coming down this wall, and beginning at F is really when I start my turn. That doesn't mean I turn here. It means I start my bending exercise right here. Bending, 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 bending. I look up. I look for my judge right now, and I line my pelvis and my chest up with my judge. So I don't look anymore at the wall. I start to look right straight at that judge. Does that make sense? Now, if you wait to turn down center line at A like the test says, which is a complete lie, you can't do that. You have to turn down center line to be on the A to C line. So otherwise, you come here, you make this incredible spin turn, which would be very attractive, and then you start down the center line. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make a turn that begins a nice little curve at F that makes a 10-meter half circle that comes right down the middle. Make sense? So we're going to pick up trot, and we're just going to go through that very basic beginning. Fair enough? So let's pick up trot. You're gonna go down the center line, but you remember you have to start turning early enough to make the center line. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's trot once around this end of the ring. And I know these are really basic things, but they're really important because this is where your scoring starts. So, you're trotting around. Let's make one big circle first to wake our little friend up here, who thinks we're insane. There you go. Nice, steady, relaxed trot. Super, super, just exactly like that. You're practicing sitting quietly, no big deal. Perfect. So, we start to think about turning down the center line. Keep your trot if you can. Keep your turn if you can. Line yourself up with the judge and trot right straight down the center line. It's a long ways. Good for you. Keep thinking, I'm going to point my chest at the judge. I'm going to keep my horse's nose at the judge. And you're going to track left. So just turn left. No big deal. Can you see how your horse takes one good look at that judge's box, and you can see why we don't stop anymore? Because in this first test, sometimes it's better if we don't have to stop. So we're going to work a little bit on our trot so we can make a little bit of center line. Fair enough? Sure. Okay, so let's get a really steady trot once all the way around the ring. A trot that you like and a trot that your horse is comfortable in. Perfect. We don't want to go a whole lot more slowly than that because it would cause your horse not to have a good rhythm. Fair enough? And I tell myself, you just want to be able to count your rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good, Karen. Get a little closer to the wall if you can. If you can get your horse so that you feel like your leg sits right next to the wall, that would be perfect. Great. Perfect. Straight ahead. Really point your pelvis and your shoulders straight to the end of that wall. So she feels like you have a plan. Beautiful. Right there. That is great. 1, 2, 3. Oh, she thinks she's having to work really hard. Super. And the reason that we have in a dressage ring, we have a low wall, is because the horse can't really lean on it. So we have to steer better. Fair enough? Because if you have a big heavy wall with boards on it, you can really push them up against it. In a dressage ring, we really have to do the steering ourselves. Yeah, keep her straight to the corners. Perfect, Karen. Perfect. Sit back. Let your horse carry you. There you go. Great. There you go. Sit back and let her carry you. And you can always post if you think that's a more comfortable feeling. You decide what you think will make your horse move the best. That's why we've allowed posting trot in our Western dressage, because we want the horse to feel like it can move a little bit forward if it's a young horse especially these lower level tests. Perfect. Straighter on your right rein. You're going to come right up against the wall. Bring her right over the rail. Really encourage her to really listen to your right rein. Your right rein is your really important rein. That creates the wall that the horse is going to trot down. Beautiful. Just like that. Perfect. Is that feeling better? Yeah, more active. So you're going around and you feel like now you can start to count your trot a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Let's try to turn down the center line. Look up. Look for the judge, or in this case, no. Okay, yeah, keep trotting. Yeah. We'll go once all the way around again, get our trot back, and then we'll just try going down the center line a couple of times. Since that movement is going to be in your test until the end of time, you have it until the Olympics. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Every single step. She has to carry you. Good trot, my friend. Good girl. And I don't care if the trot's a little smaller than that or a little bigger than that, depending upon how the horse moves. I do care that it has a steady rhythm. That's the big piece that I'm looking for. Okay, ready to turn down center line? And turn. Look at the judge. It really helps. Good. Keep